Hello everybody, it's your boy SpinosaurusStudios, and we're playing Kerbal Space Program 2 on launch day, first release. Now, I know there's a certain trend with YouTubers, like Matt Loney's first moon landing and Reed Captain's first Duna mission. I realized that YouTubers are going to capitalize on being the first to every planet, so I'm currently rushing a video to put out to claim my first landing. We're going to skip the tutorial because we have played the first Kerbal Space Program. Menu looks nice. I don't like how they removed the space plane hangar. Page is also a stupid name. So now we're gonna quickly build a rocket. Now, taking a quick look at the rover, it's not polished. It doesn't look good. It looks like something from one of those $20 space games, which you build like Minecraft. So anyway, we're building our first rocket. Now, little did I know, KSP 2, well, obviously cannot handle a lot of parts, and the physics just cannot handle it. But regardless, I still built a big rocket because that's what I'm used to. I build big rockets in the first Kerbal Space Program. There's no reason why it shouldn't work here. So I'm building a 3-stage rocket to Eve and Gilly. I'm gonna be the first one there, first YouTuber, first everything, so I can claim it. I will say this: the building system kind of sucks, and upon launching my rocket, it just spontaneously combusted. So after quickly turning on FPS, I went back to the VAB and did a slight change because I knew all the engines weren't going to work. I put less engines and still the same thing, still the same problem. So, and then my game soft locked, so that was time wasted. Everything you hear in the background, that is the game soft locking and breaking upon itself. So I had to restart the game, and then when I relaunched the rocket, it was leaning to the side, and I tried to spam go, it just wouldn't go. This time it actually did work for some fucking miracle, and the rocket was just going down. FPS was also turned off again, so I had to quickly turn it on. And while it was working, the capsules didn't spontaneously disconnect from pods. It just wasn't going anywhere. I was receiving a lovely 2 FPS, and then I fucking gave up, and then I went back to the drawing board. And this face right now is me when I spent 3 hours trying to build a rocket that would actually not break. So I launched again, spontaneously combusted, and then my game soft lock again. Congrats. I had to restart again. I restarted it 6 total times because of the game soft locking when I tried to relaunch it. Put a bunch of struts on another redesign. It actually worked, and when I launched it, it didn't strut one of the boosters for some reason. So after going back and putting a few launch clamps, it actually launched, and all the boosters disconnected. It broke itself. So after a quick restart, launched it again. It actually was doing pretty good. It was doing what it was supposed to. It was going up like all rockets should. If this was in KSP 1, it would have been fine. And then we had a tilt to the side because the weight shift, since all the fuel in the back is gone, so it leaves the front heavy. And unfortunately, for some weird reason, the crew capsule just dislocated for some reason. Quick relaunch, and we were also pivoting again. I was trying to pull up, it almost did a flip, and then we straightened ourselves, and then the same issue. So at this point, I fucking had it. It must be an issue with the landing capsules, right? So I flip them around, and then it walks a bit forward, and it spontaneously combusts again, and I don't know why it did this. So after that, I've had it and just removed all the capsules altogether. Just placed fresh new ones, because that's clearly the issue, because the capsules do not want to stay. It's just a root cause of everything, especially with the weird anchor tool. I said, fuck it, 1 engine with only 4 boosters on the bottom. I did a huge redesign, only like 3 or 4 stages total with the rocket boosters. By the way, I've encountered at least 160 bugs in this game alone trying to build a rocket. So I fixed everything, did a little bit of staging for the rockets. I don't care about the Delta V. And we eventually launch. And hallelujah, it launches. But then I realized I'm missing a crew member. I'm missing Bob Kerman. I don't know why he wasn't put inside, so I quickly went back. And we are officially launching our rocket, and everything goes to plan. This rocket is like, what, 50 parts-ish? less, and I'm still getting only 20 FPS. And if I was in Kerbal Space Program flying my 200-part SSTO, I'd get at least 60 FPS. So we're launching, everything goes smooth, nice cloud layers. KSC looks nice. I think I slightly prefer the old one because of the SPH. Everything goes smoothly, but unfortunately the rocket starts to tilt and then we flip over. Now that's really annoying, but we fixed ourselves after passing a certain altitude, and we pivot our nose up again. We lost a bunch of Delta V, but it's fine, especially since I'm trying to rush out this video so I can be the first to claim to land on Eve. So after continuing to launch, we eventually reach not orbit, but we are in free fall. I liked a lot of the details they added. Unfortunately, it creates a whole buggy mess. But other than that, I got make a maneuver to create an orbit, which is pretty easy. Just keep going forward after they reach the peak. I remove my empty fuel tanks after they've been depleted. And I was also losing a bit of control, so and then we go make an orbit. I zoom out on the map to see if everything's out there. Unfortunately, no. Currently, Ike has replaced Duna. Rest of the planets are still there, like Eve, Dress, Jewel, Elu, Moho. I heard Moho has lost its Moho, so no one's ever gonna go there again. Regardless, we make a maneuver to escape Kerbal orbit. I accidentally overshoot a little bit, trying to time warp. We leave Kerbal orbit, and now we have to figure out how to get into an encounter with Eve. So I'm just spinning around orbit because I am clueless, and the maneuver nodes do not tell me where I am going. We continually spin in orbit. Yes, this footage is sped up. We eventually get an encounter. It's teal color. So after completing the maneuver, we set target. Unfortunately, yes, it's a known bug. We cannot see where we are entering orbit, but I guess it's kind of realistic. I kind of like it, so you're just eyeballing it. So we enter Eve's sphere of influence. Get it? Sphere. Then I make a maneuver to adjust. Now here, I separate the capsule between Bill and Bob Kerman. I believe they were supposed to be swapped, but whatever. Bob would try to chicken out, so he's the one that gets stranded on Eve. We let him be. This will be our Eve lander. This is what we're going to focus on first. We're going to focus on landing on Eve first. But to make sure the other part of the rocket does not slam into Eve and be destroyed in the atmosphere, we make a quick maneuver to just ring around Eve, and we will save this piece of the rocket for Gilly when we land there. Now now we complete one last maneuver, so we stay in orbit around, so we don't overshoot in case the Eve landing for some reason takes way more than it should. And then afterwards, we switch back to the Eve landing capsule, which has its antenna stretched out and just placed over there floating. So hopefully that will be fixed too. We are landing on Eve's south pole. I accidentally time warped too close, and I think, oh fuck, I'm screwed, because in KSP 1 the physics will have destroyed me by now. But I quickly pause the game, extend whatever I need to do, pause, unpause, retract the solar panels, inflate the heat shield, and little did I know this was not necessary. Even though I'm internally panicking, the devs have even said it themselves. Atmospheric re-entry and burns do not exist. So why I'm doing this, I don't know. However, because I did this, I slow down like 50 times more than I should have because there's no heating or atmosphere. This kick-ass music starts playing. So I'm gonna let it play in the background throughout the whole Eve landing, even though it doesn't play for that long. So letting the music play in the background, we're just casually landing. Make a quick save because I'm still confused why I didn't burn up like I should have in the first game, even though it's early access. And we're only going at 100, from 30 to 180 meters per second. And the shield's making a lot of drag. I retracted it. We're still going very slow, and we tapped near the South Pole. It's not all the way there, but it's still there. We get close to the clouds. Now the clouds have amazing detail. You guys should look at it from your own perspective at 2K resolution, which I will realize I wasn't at, so I fixed it later. So we're just currently gliding in the atmosphere. There's not much to say besides it looks beautiful. Fix that resolution. We're just falling through the atmosphere. Believe it or not, you don't really get to touch or encounter the clouds. You just kind of fall through them, like in GTA 5 Online. Well, just GTA 5 in general. Going through, it's beautiful. We're still falling at 30 meters per second because it's very dense atmosphere, and apparently this weird cylinder is extremely aerodynamic, most likely because of the bugged part that creates invisible aerodynamics. So we deploy our parachutes, even though we still have ways to go, and we probably didn't even need them, simply because we would have been fine regardless. So, first landing of Eve in KSP2 history was at 11:35 a.m. CST. So we landed, we're rolling a bit. I used the heat shield to straighten ourselves up. We're the first people to land on Eve, just like Reed Captain was the first one to go to Duna, and Matt Lowney was the first one to go to the Mun. So straighten ourselves up with the weird shield that you can actually inflate and deflate. We deploy the solar panels, but unfortunately, this lifts the capsule ever so slightly, and just has it inching forward on the ground. So we eventually just fixed that later. We deployed the antenna to see if that'll stop, and that's about it. Now, will I say that this was a perfect landing? Absolutely not. In fact, I don't know if it really counts or not, but it says, but everyone is saying that it's fine in this state, so I believe them. So this is the quote-unquote official Eve landing, first one ever. We checked our solar panels because they have no use. And we EVA out, and first Kerbals to also walk on Eve. Now I will say, the gravity is on point, it's really heavy, but I will say this, I do not like the movement of the Kerbals. I think it's too quick, fast-paced. Like, even Minecraft was much slower when moving to the sides and everything, but I don't like it. I really don't like it. We test the jetpack a little bit, realize it's the same controls as the first Kerbal Space Program game. In short, I think the animations are a bit rushed in the second game. I don't like how fast-paced the movement is. Eventually, we just set our flag down. We poke a little fun at Matt Lowney and Reed Captain, since they claim they're the first ones to make a mission at it. We plant our flag. And we almost get soft again. I am pressing every key on my keyboard, and we are just stuck in place. We can't move. And from this distance, we're able to control the capsule. I'm still trying to unsoft lock myself from the flag. So eventually, after switching targets and switching back to the Kerbal, that had fixed it. And we go back to the lander, if you can even call it that, since it's just literally 4 parts. But we're not done yet. This is a whole mission to Eve and Gilly. So this portion of the video, which is actually the most realistic part of the video. So quick maneuver burn to encounter Gilly. I still can't tell what the nodes are trying to tell me. I'm just eyeballing it, orbiting around Eve a few times until we get a decent enough approach, and then I change my Apple Watch system to meet Gilly. Speaking of burn, it's nice the attention to detail they put into everything rocket related. Unfortunately, with how bad the physics is, it's not really enjoyable, even though it's very pretty. Extending up a bit, we finally get an encounter with Gilly, and then we perform one more maneuver to get that encounter. We go into its sphere of influence. Again, we can't see where we're going in, even though this was possible in the first KSP. We're just performing a burn to get captured into Gilly. Keep in mind, Gilly has literally essentially no gravity, so you can take the biggest, heaviest rockets here and land here with ease. The textures have been revamped heavily. It actually looks like a real space body you could find in our solar system. Technically it is if you find the right rock, but other than that, we approach Gilly. We perform a few slow burns, even though the gravity is not enough to increase our speed. Now, upon approaching Gilly, besides the fact that it looks really well, and the sun goes through the rocks, which is another bug, we still have a tremendous amount of delta V left, over 3,000 meters per second of delta V. So with that knowledge, I'll probably make a part 2 to this video, a mission to Gilly and back. So on the same day today, at 11:57 a.m., 20 minutes after landing on Eve, we've also landed on Gilly, the first person and YouTuber to ever land on Gilly and recorded. So we slide a little bit because, you know, Gilly has literally no gravity. The physics are again broken because apparently the rocket has more of a gravity than Gilly, or it's just a sticky surface. Take a quick screenshot and boom. Now here's where the part where I said, yeah, the sun goes through Gilly. Knowing this, it probably applies to other moons, especially the smaller type. So we plant our flag. This time it's actually more memorable. The animations is screwed up. It is not in sync again. And that concludes the mission. We've made it to Eve and Gilly. I'm the first person to land on both. Now if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. I'm coming back to KSP eventually. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.